Oh, hello there, outliers. Niiamah is Young here, and thank you so much for letting us be a part of your journey here today. We have an incredible opportunity to spend time with an outlier who is really playing his game in a way that I find to be really intriguing and interesting. We have Theo Kapodistrias. Theo, thank you so much for making the time here. Thanks for being here. Thanks for bringing your presence to this conversation. I'm thoroughly excited for it.
Me too. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, like we get a chance to play here in this conversation, and while I say play, I like to look at it and say that each of us has a game that we're playing out in the world, the way that we're seeing the world, the way we're shaping it. So, like, let outliers get a chance to get to know you. Tell us more about you and the game that you are playing.
Great. So I wear a number of different hats. Uh, I'm a corporate lawyer, which to most people sounds pretty boring, but I promise it can be pretty fun. It's an interesting space. But outside of that, I run a business as a speaker, MC, coach, author and online course creator where I help professional service providers and entrepreneurs to speak up, show up, and make an impact with their voice and words. My whole thing is helping people to become effective and efficient communicators to present their ideas and craft and deliver messages that matter in the moments that count. So I try and do that through a number of different ways. And the latest and most exciting is my book, this little guy here, Away with Words, um, really just to create accessible resources for people to be the most effective they can be.
Now, this is exciting. When you say this is just for me to know here, all right, when you say a corporate lawyer, my mind goes, I'm like, all right, are you in an organization and on their law, the law team or legal team, or are you like a lawyer who like gets hired by corporations and like as opposed to like a civil lawyer or something like that? Just can you help out? You see that?
It's the first one. So
Okay,
I'm in-house counsel for a company.
nice.
In the past, I've been the GC, so I've been like top dog running the
Mhm.
show. But now I'm in a different organization after my last job was made redundant. So now I'm part of a team. I'm like one of the senior counsel for Australia, managing our geography over here, which is cool.
That's cool. That's cool. All right. I love this here because it's one of the things that unites us outliers is that like you can't guess our background. You know, yeah, like so you see me right now leading this platform, leading the movement of outliers, creating change. And before that I was in tech, doing company culture and learning development. And before that, I was working as an actuarial retirement analyst and consultant. You know, so like I like to get sometimes in there. What I get about you then is that you are able to be in multiple places, and I can see how the as a lawyer, the power of language and the power of communication is incredibly important, right? Like it's like you can miss a word or you can add an entire word, and it changes like the entire portion of the purpose of what you're trying to get done. So, what made it important to you to say, all right? Like I could have just stayed more in like the legal profession. I could have done more things in that space. You've been top dog. You could have done like you could have helped other people there. But you decided that you're like, I really want to make sure that like your voice is being able to deliver the message that it's here to deliver. Why was that important for you?
A few things, right? I guess for me, in the legal space, you can just do your job, and I've had interns and I've like trained them to be awesome. That's been really great. But I found that because I was speaking at so many sort of legal events before I turned it into a business, one of the things I found people really struggled with was their ability to communicate effectively. And when I started as a lawyer, I thought I I was, I guess, quite technically driven. So my mind would always focus on like legal words and trying to, make myself sound really smart. And I found other lawyers doing the same. So if I was talking to them, they'd, give me that same sort of stuff. But I thought in order to be effective in how you actually communicate with your clients, with other people, and I thought other industries would be the same. Maybe I should actually help people to turn their communication into something that is actually going to be useful and more effective in all formats. So not only in emails and writing, but also when speaking on stage. Because I guess one of the things for me was I liked to, and what I do for all my training, my keynotes, my workshops, is to bring the art and science of communication together. So I try and combine all the aspects of like, hey, you can like do this thing and do that, or change the way you think about this and do that to give you a far better result. So I thought I could actually be way more useful as a, in this consulting space, if you want to call it that, coaching space, whatever it might be, um, to help people in that way rather than help people to be better legal experts, essentially. But it's a, hey, I'm helping you to be a better professional, better human through more effective communication skills.
Yeah. So all right. So now let's play a little bit. Do you mind?
Mm,
All
go
right.
for it.
So part of what I enjoyed in that part, and I think outliers like hear this in here, like you had the opportunity of like showing up as the smartest person in the room, right? Over and over and over again. And what I think I'm hearing from you is like it's like eventually you realize that well, I'll tell you, I don't know if I heard this from you, but this what I felt was I'm like, I can imagine having like great heady conversations where like so much is said and almost nothing is said at the same time, you know? And being able like I'm curious about like what did that give you? Like being like constructed your conversations and like more like that the way it was typically seen or the way that like you had to play the game. What did that give you, and what were you missing out on when you chose to play it that way that you now have since you've decided to broaden your communication?
I think you can get into conversations where people just argue and bicker and it just sounds like another language.
Mm.
But then you can have people who come in and, I'll use a swear word, just cut the shit and just tell you how it is straight up. And those people end up being far more effective because they're communicating in a way that is able to cut through the noise, and just get to the point. And I thought that is actually far more effective than just dancing around trying to do wishy-washy things or trying to, I guess, escape out of actually having that discussion or that conversation. Like so much of this corporate jargon now doesn't actually lead to anything. It's just fluff around the surface to then have another meeting in like a week. Um, so you laugh because you know it's
I
true.
know it's true. Yeah, like, that's it.
uh,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I found that in so many of our, I guess, professional environments, so finance, accounting, insurance, legal, HR, it's just words, phrases, terminology that are so specialist to their space. So then when you speak to other people outside of that, they have no idea what you're talking about. I want to bridge that gap. So I
Yeah.
help people to bridge that gap. And I think being able to do that in a room rather than simply just allowing people to keep going down that path has been really important to me
Yeah.
to make it, I guess, just more accessible for people like accessing those services.
Yeah, this so some of what you're talking about is like really near and dear to my heart, like really, really. So first I'm gonna make a quick call to outliers and then I'm gonna like tell you why.
Yeah.
So outliers, here's the invitation I have for you is like take a check real quick. Take a check on yourself right now. And the two places I would look at is a where in your world right now are you like bringing in like the highfalutin, I'll say that highfalutin language, like language that's beyond like yeah, where in your world are you creating additional dissonance by trying to speak in a certain way, and what's driving that? Like is it actually what you're in, or are you like performing in that space? And then the other side of it, for me, the other side that was coming up along with that is for anyone out there that is an outlier on the other side that's like, well, I don't sound like these people who've been to all the schools or they have all the degrees or the pedigrees. Like what I'm getting from you, Theo, is like you do part of your work is be able to say like, yeah, no, that's the point. That's like you're able to just cut through, make sure people hear what's there and leverage that. So I want to play it at it from both ends here, outliers, as you're thinking about like see where you are, and then like let's have the rest of this conversation, so you can be able to see like how can you lean more into like what really aligns with you. Theo, is there anything you want to say based on those two, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about why this was like why what you're saying is just like cutting to me.
Oh no, this is great. I'd
Yeah.
love to hear what you've got to say.
Yeah, so you're meeting me right now as Niiamah, but for almost 20 years I went by the nickname Nemo. That was a nickname I got in high school, and I was in a a high level mastermind, and was really frustrated in that group. And in that group, really powerful people, but like people were claiming all of their power. They're like, I'm a witch, I'm a shaman, I can do new age things. Like so they were like, there's a lot of that. And I'm like, I'm talking and I'm saying, hey, I'm here to lead this movement. Can you help me with this movement? And people will come back to me and there's like, I don't understand what you're saying. And I remember being in this space and be like and allowing myself to get angry. That was from my work. I'm a joyful person, so I hadn't allowed myself to get angry. But I remember being angry and being like, this doesn't make any sense to me. Like we're talking crystals and tarot cards on one side, but I'm the one that doesn't make sense. Like I just don't know if you're trying hard enough. And someone came to me afterwards and she said, you know what? And my name was Nemo at the time. She said, you know what, Nemo? I think sometimes you hear that they don't understand you when they're like, I don't understand your words, right? And that was a really important like thing. So it's like perhaps what they're saying is like they want to understand you, but they just don't understand like they don't get the words. And what ended up happening later on, and the reason I said like I was Nemo Niiamah, this is important, is because later on that day, someone came into the circle and they said, look, the reason that we don't get you sometimes is because you're coming off flowery, vanilla, like all around white, when you're a big, black, bold, beautiful man. And when you just speak what's on your mind, we hear you and we get you. But like there's some kind of dissonance that takes place when you're talking out in this other way, and we cannot reach you. And then he said these words. He said, it's not your job to make other people feel safe. During that conversation, that's when my name changed. I was complete with Nemo, a name that I had for 20 years. I was like, be authentically you. NemoIshan.com, like all that. I couldn't see it, you know? And it brought me to Niiamah. And it was really around, for me, underneath the element of how I was talking, was I wanted to be as inclusive as possible. I wanted everyone to be able to like me. I was like, I thought I had to be a certain way as opposed to just allowing my truths to come out. I'm curious what that brings out in you, but this is why, like, when you talk about this thing, I'm like, this is not just like a skill to have. This is like unlocking and unleashing people's lives here. I really appreciate what you do.
Yeah, you actually touch on something that I speak on in my book, but also speak on when I train people to present. So I should also mention a lot of my work is in the sort of presentation skills spaces, with communication being the banner, but presentation specifically. But I run TEDx Hobart, so the TEDx variant in here in Hobart, and I also coach a TEDx event in Newcastle in New South Wales of Australia called TEDx Cooks Hill. And one of the things people always like say to me when they like start their TEDx journey is, oh, but every time I've seen people on stage, they have a certain way of doing this and doing that and speaking. And I said, that's great, but that's not you. You have to be authentic. You have to be authentically yourself. So one of the things I talk about in my book, I follow a 5C methodology, not in any particular order necessarily, but the final C I talk about in the book is connection. And the one way that we can build connection with our audience and anyone we're talking to or who's seeing our videos is to be authentically us. If we are not authentically us, we can't build trust. We don't build trust, people don't connect with us. People don't connect with us, they don't listen. Give you an example of I guess a CEO who gets up in the middle of the room of the business, all hands monthly meeting, tries to inspire people. We must get more sales, we must get this, and it just is corporate wank. No one cares. You might have one person who claps because it just comes across as completely fake. Whereas if you go to an event and someone is sharing some vulnerability. They're speaking in a way that is true to them, so they're not trying to put on a performance. It sounds more like a conversation because the words are conversational in context. It doesn't sound like it's a hello everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be here to speak to all of you. It's a case of just having what sounds more like a one-on-one conversation, but with many people. That is how you can be far more authentic. And this is something that people, I try and drill into them. And that is that your authenticity builds that connection with people and it builds trust. So if you can't be who you are on stage or when you communicate, your stakeholders, your clients, the people that you're working with will not trust you. And you need to try and build that trust and build that connection and build that understanding of people. So if you are the, big, bold, beautiful man, then you gotta be that. You gotta be that guy.
I love this shit. Can you share with us a time where like you didn't follow that and some of the things that showed up there? Like a time where yeah, you're playing
Oh,
in your inauthenticity.
yeah, 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 completely. Because I think people have this way of thinking, a lawyer must be this and a lawyer must be that. But and I think when I first started my legal career, I've only been a corporate in-house lawyer, so that's all I've known. But I remember starting out wearing a suit and tie and trying to just be like a corporate baddie. But that's not me. I'm not really that vibe. I love, the sort of corporate world, but I don't have to play to be that corporate stereotype. So when people go into a room and, they want advice, they're getting stuff from me that sounds like a robot. And then I wasn't really connecting with people because they just were like, oh, okay, well, he's just spouting law stuff. But then when I became more comfortable and realized, oh, I have to be authentically me, could get in there, have a conversation, have a bit of a joke, but then also provide advice using examples and language and terms that people understood, that built a relationship. It built a relationship of trust. It built authenticity. And then people would come back to me over and over and over because they knew they could trust me. So when I wasn't authentic, I got no traction. When I was authentic, it built a relationship. So I think
I
that's a
love it.
big thing. Yeah.
I love it. I
And it's,
love it.
yeah. And it's just so important for like a conversation like this or a conversation on a stage. Like either or, it's going to be the same.
Well, I think to your point, it's like what needs to be the difference, right? You're like we're having a one-on-one conversation. If you're on stage, like what does it feel like to have a one-on-one conversation like in there, right? When you're talking right now, it's making me think about how I started out podcasting. So I've been doing this for about 10 years now. Oh man, there's a couple of different things going on. I've been doing this for like 10 years. It takes me back to like the beginning where like there was um a hyper energy to me. Welcome to there was the pro social learning. Welcome to the pro social learning podcast. Like it was all this stuff that I was just like that energy was like super dialed up because that's what I thought you needed to be when you're making a podcast. And it was not like I listened to it. I'm like, oh, it's good energy. Like it translates over the waves. But man, it was a lot of work. But the other side of it was that like afterwards, like I had to go back and edit everything. I had to do so much extra work. Nowadays, like you're seeing me in the way that I show up right now. And part of it, I'm like, it's actually just a lot easier to like lean into the authenticity part. Doesn't mean I have to lose my chops, but I can spend my time actually just being present and in the communication as opposed to just being all up in my head. I literally, when you're talking about presentations, I remember doing a presentation that was luckily it was in like a like a training environment, but I like completely. I'm used to like starting off the conversations. Like I'll bring you into the space and I'll end it. But it gave me the numbers because I was the actuary to get like you do the numbers, and I'm actually really bad at communicating numbers. And it was very. I tried to be. There was a person right in front of me practiced all night, spoke like about like, double the normal speaking term. And she also had all the right consultants speak. And I came up after like, there's a numbers. It was really bad. I still remember this like 20 years, 15, 20 years later. Um, I think it spoke to that authenticity. Like the authentic move wasn't actually to present was to like not present that part at all. The authentic was like it's like, hey, just so you know, communicating in numbers is not like it's not where I shine. So I can do it, but you're probably gonna want me in this other position, or you're gonna want me here. Like that would have been like much lovelier space to be to have like to confront it early, you know, rather than to be in the position where I'm like, oh, now I'm kind of trapped, and I think I have to be a certain type of way, and how did I get myself here, and if only, so on and so forth. Curious of your thoughts on any of that, Theo, as I bring that into this mix.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? It's just about knowing where you fit in the scheme of things and
Mhm.
sometimes playing to your strengths. I think that's really important. For me, there are particular things where I am better suited, so it makes more sense for me to get into that space. And if there are things that you have to do that aren't necessarily for you, sometimes you just have to own it and say, look, I'm not the expert here, but I'm going to give it my best shot. And people are usually pretty accepting of that. What I
Real quick,
love
just
is,
what you
yeah,
just said there, like, and people are really pretty accepting of that. As you say it, a part of me believes it, and another part of me is like, but how? Right? Can you speak
mm,
to that there where it's like, aren't we supposed to come off as the experts out in what we do? Like, so how do you
yeah,
how do you bridge that gap between like being authentic and expertise?
yeah. I mean, people will trust you generally because you've done all the work to get to the point where you are. But sometimes there's aspects where you're like, hey, look, not all of this is something that I know. So you can own it and say, look, what I've understood is this, or what I'm able to present is that. We can do more. I can find out more, but from what I've understood, I've reached this point. I think it sometimes well, it might not work, right? It might be the case of okay, well, actually, well, I need a better expert to actually explain this to me better, or I'm not happy with that. Or people will say, hey, you know what? That sounds good. I'm happy with that. That's all I need. Sometimes owning the fact that we don't have all the answers is going to provide us a bit more trust because we are showing a little bit of vulnerability to say, I don't know everything here. What I do understand is this, and if we need more help, then we can, I don't know, go external or find someone who does know more. But at this point, this is what we got, and I think that's okay.
Yeah.
I think it is just about trying to build that relationship with people, and I think showing some vulnerability is okay because we you don't have to be the world's expert, but you do have to be some level of expert. I always say this with my TEDx speakers as well, and that is you don't have to be the world's expert on the topic, but you do have to be a level of expert in the thing that you're speaking on. Otherwise, you shouldn't be on stage. So, and
Hmm.
that's okay.
Let's go a little bit into the TEDx world right now.
Yeah.
Like, let's see here. When you think about because you're if you're curating and you're leading these things, you're seeing all the speeches regardless, right? Not just the ones that go viral. You're seeing all, right? And there's probably
Mm.
some ones that could go viral if outside of the space they like, put in the effort. Like there's marketing of a thing, right? You wrote a book, but if you don't tell us you wrote a book, we won't know that there's a book. Doesn't matter how good it is, like there's extra work that's involved, right? But so now, like, I'm like, in my mind, I'm kind of like leveling out for their own marketing experience here. What do you find to be like the things that make a TEDx speech like transform or like transcend? That's what I'm looking for. Transcend like some time on the dot, and really get into something where it's like, oh, the people there like they left with something meaningful.
Absolutely. You know what's really funny? And that is sometimes you think an idea on stage is just going to be incredible because, I don't know, the way it's presented is great. The topic of the idea is good. But sometimes when it goes to video, it doesn't get the clicks and the views. And you can never predict it. Sometimes I can. Sometimes I'm like, bang on, that's gonna go viral. Um, and it's so weird with the TEDx world. And that is, once everything's recorded from the event, it goes to TED, and then it goes to their review process, and then from there, normally everything gets ticked off, and then it goes onto the YouTube site. And then from there, it'll do its own either organically do its own thing, or people can help push it out to their networks and all of that fun stuff as well, which is great. Um, and sometimes if you've got a bigger network, you can get more views, yada yada, that's whatever. And that's fine. That's just part of the process. But the thing that will stand you apart from other people is having an idea that generates, I guess, further thought, helps to change someone's perception of how they look at something, or it's something that people have thought about but haven't really understood or done anything to explore that themselves. But then having a talk that talks about it is incredible. One of my events last year, so the TEDx Hobart event last year, they ran our final talk. We thought all the talks were amazing. This one in particular, Ted said we love it, and it's one of our editors' picks. And it was just about creating space for yourself, and what's life like getting rid of everything to move across to the other side of the world, and that sort of psychological pull that physical items have. And that was really cool, and that was really great that Ted loved it, and it's got several 100,000 views now, I think, which is great. Some of our talks have, I think one of my Hobart talks has 6.5 million views, which is awesome. And then there was an idea from the TEDx Cooks Hill event that I coached. And I remember reading the script and I said, oh, people are going to go mad for this. Like, people are going to love it because it's such an interesting way of viewing an idea or this thing. And it was about how to love in a different language. So when a couple are interracial and have two different languages, how do you then, I guess, find that middle ground? Because sometimes one language has, I guess, a bit more of a dominance than the other one, and you can be funny in one language, but it might not translate to the other. The way it's delivered is amazing. The examples are brilliant, and Ted loved it, and they've done their own things with it, and it's just great that I guess from my end I can say that's a talk that I think will do some stuff, and it just has its own journey and does its own thing, which is really cool.
But this is interesting to me. I think that um there's components of this year because I like the element of the TED part I think is really interesting because I feel that there's people that are listening and they feel that before they can before they can like get there, quote unquote, they need to have like a TEDx talk, for example, right? As someone who's been in this space here and like we'll tie to just all parts of communication here, but like I guess the thing that I would say is like for the people who are let me rephrase it. This is what I want to kind of get at. Like there's some kind of mysticism that often times happens where people are like, if I just get on TEDx, then like my business will take over, will take off, like all these other things, right? And so I'm kind of wondering if you can speak to the person that's listening to this, that's like that has that like in their mind, like it's a great goal to have, you know. My I have a between us here, I guess everyone else is gonna hear, but I have a thing where I'm like, um, I'm determined to create something since I'm called to TED without being put on a TEDx. Like I'm just like like how do I show up in the world to that level where I'm just like just main stage, you know? And that's been something that's driven me for like almost a decade now, right? It's funny. It's fun talking to you there because I'm like 20 years, 25 years, a decade. I'm like, I've been at this for a little bit, haven't I? But but I think the thing I wanted to call in is like for yeah, I think I'd love for you to speak to the person who's like I need to be on a TEDx before the next thing happens. Like similar to like how they might have looked at like the language they were using as like to be like the signal of having arrived or something like that. Is there anything you would say to that person? Like go for it, please, allies. Know that I'm saying like go for it, please. I have a client who has that did it and did really well with it, but I'm really curious about your take on it.
Yeah, and I've seen both sides of it, right? So, because I've done a TEDx talk, I've helped people with their TEDx talks. I run TEDx events, the whole thing. I'm like 360 TEDx, um, 365, whatever it is. Anyway,
I think it works in both ways. 360, 365, 360. You get them both.
yeah, there we go. Look, numbers, is not my thing. I do words. But people, I will get messages in the lead up of an event from people who are like, it's my dream to do this. It's everything I need. And I'm like, great. Do you have an idea worth telling? Because that's what I need to hear. But the reality of the TEDx world is there are between 3 to 5 thousand TEDx events around the world each year. With each event, they probably have anywhere between 5 to 15 speakers. Do the numbers. How many videos are then produced and then handed off to TED? How many of those then go viral? Not many, actually. Not many, because not everything is going to blow up and get picked up. And that's the reality, and that's okay. So, TEDx is a platform, it's not the only platform. So, if people in their own Delulu world think that, I say that with love, that getting a TEDx will change everything, I hate to break it to you. It might, but it probably won't. And it won't because there are so many factors that you can't control. And that's okay. It's there. It is a platform. It's great to have it. It's absolutely wonderful to have the opportunity to do it. You will clarify how you think about stuff. You'll improve your communication skills. You'll improve your presentation skills because hopefully the event will help coach you throughout the process. But there is no guarantee, zero, that your talk will go viral or that any business activity could happen from it. You can't guarantee that because you cannot use the TEDx talk to promote yourself as to share an idea. And sometimes that will resonate with people, sometimes it won't. You'll obviously find people who will gain something from it, but that might not lead to additional income. And that's okay. It's just about the experience of sharing an idea, being community minded first. And then if there are benefits that come from it, great. But there's absolutely no guarantee that you will be a viral sensation as a result of doing it.
It's fun for me here. Um, there's a way where this could have come off as like a legal disclaimer, and allies, what I want to draw attention to in not just the words that Theo just said, but in how he said it, right? Because this right here was that authentic communication. Right. If you're watching this in the video, you got to see his language. If you're listening to it in the audio, like you got to hear it. And it was clear, right? There was like you got the message here, and so what was that's another thing that's important to me, especially when I listen to speakers, I bring on a lot of people onto this platform, and so I I listen to be like, how much do you walk your talk? You know? And what was really shining out for me was like, I was like, this is it. This is exactly what Theo's talking about. Like the level of like, let's just tell you how it is. Like do the math, and it might work, but like I wouldn't be putting bets on it, like go do your workout in the world and come share an idea that's worth telling. I also really loved it when it was like, this is my dream. You're like, that's awesome. Do you have an idea? I love that. Like it's like this is. Like let's give like go out there, go tell me the idea and we're good. But like earn it in that way. So Theo, what I'm gonna do is it's time for us to wrap for today, but I want to give you an opportunity um to share with us what I call an outsight. An outsight here, and later on I'll ask you for your own insight, but an outsight is for outliers, right? Something that's coming from outside of them that you like for them to hear, right? So if there's a message that you would like to share with outliers, what's one outsight that you'd like to share with them?
One outside I will share is anytime you have to present, think of it as a conversation rather than a presentation because that will help you in mindset that you are talking to people. It will help you with language and it will just transform the way that you deliver because it will sound more real and true rather than a performance because you're not performing, you're conversing.
Thank you for that. Outliers. This conversation that we're having right here is for a reason, and I'm going to ask you to. I think that the reason here is to not just transform you, but to transform someone in your world who really needs to hear it. Someone that's looking to be able to not just communicate, but to be able to converse, to be able to reach people, and to be able to be seen, heard, and actually effective in their communication. So my ask is that I want you to think of one person in your world who would really benefit from hearing this conversation. And I ask that you share this conversation with them. We call it the one person, one conversation at a time initiative. You can go and share it in a much broader way, have it go viral. I think there's a lot in that conversation that will happen. But like I generally like believe that like this is the kind of conversation that 5 years from now, someone else is going to pass on to someone else, and it's going to be given to the right person at the right time over and over and over again, and have that longevity stick. And there's something in there where I just think like that's where the real impact of these conversations come in. So if you join us one person, one conversation at a time, go share this as a gift to someone in your world who would really benefit from it. All right. So yeah, we've come to the end of the conversation. The way that I wrap us up is with two questions. The first one is for you to like share with us how outliers can go deeper down the journey with you. What's the best way to contact you to go do that? And what I ask there is that you really try and find like the best way. Like there's a lot of different ways. Like if someone wants to find you, they'll find you. But if you can give us the best ways to do that, one or two ways, that'd be perfect. And then the second thing is to share your insight from the conversation. So now outliers are gone. You've gotten a chance to like talk directly to them. Now like my whole thing, I told you this when we came on, it's like this is how I change the world. And for me, each conversation we have something should be meaningful for both for everyone that's involved. So I'm very curious for you, what insight, what takeaway, what are you thinking about differently as a result of being here? And if nothing's really coming to mind, don't force it. That's all good. But I want to leave space for that. All right. So deeper down the
Okay,
journey and an insight you got.
awesome. So people want to find me. My website is a very easy way to see all the things that I'm doing. So www.theocap, theokap.com.au. And also Instagram is just a great way to, see useful, hopefully useful videos. I share stories, sometimes usually me speaking to camera, just talking shit. Find me at Theo Cap, TheoKap 88. And then my insight, I think this conversation kind of confirms a few things I was thinking about already in terms of being authentic. And I think being able to come together in a room, a virtual room like this, and then have a conversation which has aspects of vulnerability, where we get to like get insights from each other as to why we're doing the thing that we're doing now is really cool. So I love, all that sort of capital and value mountain that we have built something on right now, which is really cool.
I appreciate you, Theo. I'm enjoying it. Yeah, it's the whole conversation was just making me think about like the word honesty and genuine, right? Be like and like that's where you're finding me right now, where I'm like, oh, that's been my key. Like, let me just be honest and let me be genuine. If I can do the two of those things, then typically authenticity fault like comes behind, and so thank you for like allowing this conversation to be a model of what we want it to look like in the world, like what this level of communication can be. And thank you for doing the work that you do out in the world. All right.
No problem. Thank you.
Outliers. Until the next time we talk, be you on purpose. Journey on.